Did everybody
Oh,
get the record?
got it.
Mm.
Yes.
Our group was Alicia Martin, Van Raleigh, Wendy Reynolds, and Anna Emmons. We worked together to design a mental health agency to service a gap in Texas in autism spectrum disorder behavioral health support.
In Texas, adolescents and young adults with autism spectrum disorder face significant service gaps, particularly during critical transition periods. While Medicaid covers applied behavioral analysis services up to age 20, coverage limitations create a discontinuity of care just as many youth are transitioning into adulthood. Additionally, there is limited access to counseling services for co-occurring conditions such as anxiety, ADHD, or depression, which are highly prevalent in this population. Although many adolescents with ASD have IEPs, only about 28% receive in-school mental health services. This highlights a disconnect between educational planning and direct behavioral health support. Families also frequently report limited guidance during the transition to adulthood, particularly related to employment, post-secondary education, and independent living. Beyond service availability, systemic barriers further compound these gaps. Workforce shortages limit provider availability, particularly in specialized ASD-informed counseling. Fragmented coordination between schools and clinics reduces continuity and generalization of care. Financial barriers, including insurance limitations and out-of-pocket costs, also prevent families from initiating or sustaining services. Our call to action is rooted in these realities. DFSS responds by implementing community-embedded, family-centered services that reduce fragmentation and increase accessibility. Through intentional school partnerships and structured transition planning, we aim to improve continuity of care across systems. Finally, we commit to systems-level advocacy to address reimbursement inequities, service gaps, and institutional barriers that disproportionately affect marginalized communities. Our mission, vision, and value statements serve as ethical and operational foundation of Dallas Family Spectrum Services. Our mission is to empower adolescents and young adults with ASD by providing equitable access to counseling and strengthening family support systems. Empowerment in this context extends beyond symptom reduction. It includes skill development, autonomy, and improved long-term functioning within family and community systems. Our vision reflects our broader systemic perspective. We envision timely, high-quality mental health care for all adolescents with ASD. This includes integrated collaboration among schools, families, and community-based systems, ensuring that care does not occur in isolation. We are particularly committed to making services accessible to marginalized populations who have historically experienced disparities in school-based and mental health services. Our values operationalize this vision. Equity and accessibility guide our pricing, outreach, and advocacy decisions. Cultural responsiveness ensures that we approach clients with humility and respect for lived experience. Ethical integrity and accountability shape our compliance practices, documentation, and transparency. Family-centered holistic care reflects our use of systems, frameworks, and coordinated treatment planning. Innovation and advocacy push us beyond traditional service delivery towards systemic change. Finally, community embeddedness underscores our commitment to meeting families where they are, geographically, culturally, and developmentally. Together, these guiding principles ensure that DFSS functions not only as a counseling agency, but as a coordinated, ethical, and equity-driven system of care within Texas.
Services that we will offer at DFSS. Individual therapy will be tailored to each individual client in terms of therapeutic needs, as well as sensory needs. The sessions will promote confidence, grow social skills, and address co-occurring disorders. Individual therapy will be used as a building block to assist clients in growing in other areas of their program. Group therapy. ASD youth are at risk for social isolation and peer victimization. Group therapy can grow skills to support these challenges and navigate situations that arise in real time. The hope would be that our clients find peers to bond with and support each other with guidance from our licensed staff. Family therapy. A client's success is often rooted in their support system. LPCs will provide knowledge and guidance on how to communicate effectively, put routines in place, and problem solve across the family. The goal of family sessions are to keep structure for the client while educating and supporting the family members to reduce stress. MDs and DOs will provide psychiatric testing services that will offer quality, timely, and thorough in-house testing for all families. It is beneficial to have all services provided in-house to have faster yet more accurate results. Staff can then continuously work together for the success of the client.
Addressing and development and cultural needs. Culturally responsive counseling is essential when working with diverse populations. Traditional counseling models were developed from Western Eurocentric perspectives, which often do not follow fully address the needs or the lived experience of clients from marginalized or non-dominant cultural backgrounds. Research shows that clients from marginalized groups are less likely to seek counseling and more likely to drop out early when services feel culturally insensitive and when counselors lack multicultural competencies. To respond to these disparities, the Multicultural Social Justice Counseling Competencies, or MSJCC, provide our framework that helps counselors critically examine how identity, oppression, and systemic forces shape clients' mental health. These competencies encourage our counselors, to understand clients' intersecting identities, the impact of oppression, and the importance of advocacy for both equity, both inside and outside the counseling sessions. For counselors to effectively support diverse clients, training must focus on cultural competence, ongoing self reflection, cultural sensitivity and education in communication with our clients, awareness of clients' worldviews, values, and strengths. The individualized and holistic approach allows our counselors, to build trust and truly understand our clients. Within our agency, we support the diverse clients through multiple service models: individual, family, group, psychiatric, and community-based programs. These services help reduce stigma, increase access, and ensure that the client can receive the support while remaining connected into their communities. Our psychiatric testing services are designed to avoid misdiagnosing by incorporating cultural considerations, a common problem in traditional psychiatric assessments. Meanwhile, our outreach programs partner with the community to reduce stigma, increase mental health awareness, literacy, and promote shared responsibility in supporting our diverse individual clientele. Overall, our agency emphasizes culturally attuned, social, just counseling practices that respond to our unique clients and their unique needs that we serve.
Historically, the counseling profession has been grounded in Western Eurocentric models, which do not always translate effectively for clients from marginalized or non-dominant cultural backgrounds. Research shows that these clients are less likely to seek counseling services and more likely to drop out when counselors lack multicultural competence. To address this, our agency grounds its work in the multicultural and social justice counseling competencies. These competencies emphasize understanding intersecting identities, recognizing systemic oppression, and engaging in advocacy when appropriate.
At Dfss, this commitment translates into ongoing counselor training and cultural awareness, communication skills, advocacy, and reflective practice. We also implement culturally attuned service models, including individual, family, and group counseling, psychiatric testing with cultural considerations, and community-based programs. Our overall goal is to reduce stigma, increase accessibility, and provide services that are equitable and responsive to diverse communities.
DFSS is a for-profit entity in order to be able to bill insurance and Medicaid to make services accessible to as many people in our community as possible. In order to become a for-profit entity in Texas, the first step would be to file Form number 201 with the Texas Secretary of State, Jane Nelson. This form is titled Certificate of Formation for a For-Profit Corporation. Once the for-profit is approved, we would file the business as a PLLC, or a professional limited liability company. A PLLC is necessary when the business offers services that require licensed professionals to be employed. Upon approval of the PLLC, we would have to check for name availability for the Dallas Family Spectrum Services and then appoint a person of contact within the company for all legal paperwork. The final step would be to file Form 206, also with the Texas Secretary of State, to receive a certificate of formation of a PLLC.
Liability insurance programs for DFSS. The key insurance coverages that protect DFSS are licensed professionals, contractors, students, volunteers, and the clients we serve. We begin with professional liability insurance, also referred to as malpractice or E&O coverage, for the PLLC and the rendering providers, including LPCs and psychiatrists. The standard limits are 1 million per claim and 3 million aggregate, consist with major behavioral health insurers such as Simple Practice 2026. These policies typically include support services such as license board defense, subpoena response, and HIPAA privacy related supplemental benefits. Next is G&L, general liability, which covers bodily injury, property damage occurring with on our premise. A common example is if a client trips going up the stairs at the office, the G&L covers the medical and legal costs. This is essential for any physical outpatient practice setting. Our business owners policy, BOP bundles, general liability with business property coverage and business income extra expense protection. This is often recommended for outpatient behavioral practices and aligns with the OCMI 2025 guidelines. We also carry employment practice liability insurance, EPL, which protects the practice against claims related to the wrongful termination, harassment, or discrimination. Brokers typically obtain quotes through multi-carrier platforms such as Insurion or Simply Business, which work with A minus or better, A&M Best rated carriers specialized in the behavioral health. DFSS maintains evidence of insurance and certificates of insurance in our offices and for the landlord, Medicaid, MCOs, commercial payers, and referral partners. These documents are kept on file and updated as required. These coverages integrate with the DFSS broader risk management framework, including our policies for informed consent, documentation, boundaries, and suicide risk protocols. The insurance program applies to DFSS entity and all W-2 employees, contract providers, students, volunteers who interact with the clients, and any form of protected health information that we may have. Finally, with the ACA patterns with HPSO to provide high quality individual counselor liability coverage with no gaps. ACA members discount apply only to the individual members and not the practice owners or organizational policies, ACA 2024. The purpose of the HPSO counselor coverage is to protect against claims of negligence, misconduct, errors of omissions, and related personal injury. Overall, the insurance structure ensures legal financial protection, regulatory compliance, and sustainability necessary for DFSS to expand services both commercial and in Texas Medicaid environments.
Opening a new mental health agency requires strict adherence to HIPAA regulations, which govern how protected health information is handled. Because our agency uses electronic records, records and billing systems, we are considered a covered entity under HIPAA. The privacy rule ensures clients have a notice of privacy practices and understand their rights, including access to their records and protection of psychotherapy notes, which receive additional safeguards. This is especially critical in mental health settings where confidentiality directly impacts trust and willingness to seek care. The security rule requires administrative, physical, and technical safeguards. This includes staff training, risk assessments, encrypted systems, secure login credentials, and facility protections. Since our agency operates in Dallas, we must also comply with Texas Medical Records Privacy Act, which can be stricter than federal HIPAA standards. Additionally, we must establish business associate agreements with any third-party vendors. Integrating both federal and state regulations ensures ethical, legal, and secure service delivery.
Licensure credentials needed for our staff. DFSS will employ licensed professional counselors, or LPCs, to execute individual, group, and family therapy to all clientele. In order to comply with Texas state law, all LPCs must be licensed in the state of Texas. MDs and DOs, or doctors of medicine and doctors of osteopathic medicine, licensed within the State of Texas Medical Board, will carry out psychiatric duties in the facility, such as testing, diagnosing, and prescribing medications to all clients.
To obtain insurance credentialing in Texas, a counseling agency owner must complete several required steps. First, they must establish the business and obtain a National Provider Identifier, an NPI, which is a 10-digit number required by HIPAA for healthcare billing and financial transactions. Next, they must submit a provider enrollment application through Texas Medicaid and Healthcare Partnership, TMHP. TMHP manages Medicaid provider enrollment in Texas. Required information includes MPI, tax ID, practice location, and selected Medicaid programs and private insurance plans. These choices determine what services can be billed and which patients the agency can serve. The application also functions as a screening process, reviewing background, licensure, and eligibility. An agency owner must also create and maintain a CAQH profile, which is a national database storing provider and professional information. It is required for Texas Medicaid managed care plans. After completing these steps, the agency owner applies separately to private insurance companies and Texas Medicaid. Ethical standards and corresponding policies and procedures. Section C5 of the ACA Code of Ethics prohibits discrimination based on age, culture, disability, ethnicity, race, etc. Counselors must monitor and improve effectiveness according to Section C2D, maintain competence and pursue continuing education according to Section C2F, and stay informed on best practices for diverse populations. Our agency is committed to treating all clients with respect and dignity. Our counselors are trained in cultural competence before hire and are required to complete ongoing training modules during employment. Discrimination complaints are addressed with corrective action, which can range from additional training to termination. Section B1C protects client confidentiality and requires that information is only disclosed with consent or legal/ethical justification. Section B2A discusses limits to confidentiality, such as risk of serious or foreseeable harm, and legal mandates such as subpoenas. Our agency is committed to reviewing informed consent at intake and reinforcing it throughout care. Our clients are informed of confidentiality limits and legal requirements. We follow HIPAA safeguards to prevent unauthorized access, and we store psychotherapy notes separately with the highest protection. All the services that handle our client data, such as email and scheduling tools, have a signed Business Associate Agreement, BAA. Our clients' rights include accessing records, requesting restrictions, and understanding how their information is used.
Justice, health, collaboration, and integration. This section outlines DFSS collaborates with the justice system to support both behavioral health outcomes and reduce recidivism. Research shows that court referrals are most effective when treatment is structured, procedurally fair, and matched to the person's level of risk and need. However, outcomes can vary when implementation is inconsistent or when information sharing fails to comply with the privacy recognition regulation, Arnold et al. 2023. To strengthen this interface, DFSS grounds its approach in therapeutic jurisprudence and the risk-need responsivity (R&R) model. Therapeutic jurisprudence emphasizes legal processes that promote psychological well-being. Meanwhile, the R&R framework ensures that services correspond to the individual's criminogenic risk and behavioral health needs. Problem-solving courts, including mental health and drug courts, successfully use these models to reduce recidivism by addressing underlying factors like mental illness and substance use. Arnold et al. 2023. The legal process and privacy information. Because justice collaboration involves sensitive information, DFSS follows strict protocols for legal demands, such as subpoenas, warrants, court orders. All such documents are sent immediately to the DFSS privacy officer, who when then consults both legal counsel and malpractice carrier hotline to ensure compliance with the HIPAA and federal law and regulations code 42 CFR Part 2 Confidentiality of Substance Use Disorder Patient Records 2024. A key point is that the subpoena signed by an attorney is not a court order. Without written client authorization, DFSS moves to squash or limit subpoena or seek protective order. Information is released only when there is a valid court order and appropriate client authorization consistent with all privacy laws. When staff provide testimony, they strictly limit it to objective consented information such as attendance, compliance status, or urine drug screening, UDS results. They avoid giving speculative opinions or revealing privileged therapeutic communication. This protects the client's rights while ensuring DFSS remains compliant and ethically aligned. Overall, the Justice Health collaboration strengthens client outcomes, supports legal integrity, and maintains the highest standards of privacy, trauma-informed care, and professional ethics.
Record keeping is one of the most important, essential, and crucial parts of the therapy field from a business aspect. The ACA Code of Ethics highlights the importance of records in a therapy setting being held in the highest regard in confidentiality and safeguarding. DFSS chose to utilize a HIPAA-compliant software program called Therapy Notes in order to properly safeguard all aspects of the business. TherapyNotes.com provides the services of scheduling, note-taking, billing, card processing, a client portal, e-prescriptions, security, and more. It is beneficial to utilize an all-encompassing software like this to streamline all training, minimize risk, and provide ease of access to all features for all staff.
Grant availability for DFSS is as follows. Texas and federal behavioral health funding opportunities, Community Mental Health Services Block Grant, MHBG, Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, SMHSA, Certified Community Behavioral Health Clinical, CCBHC Pathway, Family and Youth Federal Funding Streams, ACF, Workforce Development Grants, HRSA, and others. CMS Integrated Care Initiatives, Innovation in Behavioral Health, IBH.
Technology and confidentiality, accessibility, and HIPAA. The HIPAA privacy rule requires safeguards for PHI and then governs how PHI is used and disclosed. This applies to all forms of PHI, whether that be paper, electronic, ePHI, or verbal. The minimum necessary rule requires that counselors only disclose the least amount of PHI needed. Under the privacy rule, clients have the right to access records and request corrections and restrictions. Our agency follows the minimum necessary standards and honors client access and amendment requests. The Notice of Privacy Practices, NPP, requires that clients receive a written explanation of how their PHI is used and their HIPAA rights. At our agency, informed consent is provided at intake, and our clients are informed of their privacy, confidentiality, and access rights. The HIPAA security rule applies to ePHI only. It requires administrative, physical, and technical safeguards.
Our fee structure is guided by the ACA Code of Ethics, particularly the principles beneficence, non-maleficence, justice, and fidelity. Beneficence and non-maleficence require us to promote well-being while minimizing harm, including financial harm. Families of adolescents and young adults with ASD often face significant financial burdens, so our pricing model must reduce economic barriers to care. Justice requires equitable access. To uphold this principle, DFSS offers sliding scale fees, accepts Medicaid and commercial insurance, and aims to remain below average private practice rates when possible. Clear and consistent criteria for reduced fees prevent discriminatory or arbitrary pricing. Fidelity emphasizes transparency. We provide full cost disclosure during intake, explain insurance coverage and out-of-pocket expenses, and ensure fees reflect extended services like school collaboration and care coordination. Ultimately, our goal is to balance agency sustainability with social responsibility. Community outreach is central to our holistic model of care. Research supports that community-based initiatives improve social communication, emotional well-being, and family resilience among autistic youth. DFSS implements three primary outreach efforts. First, we host monthly educational parent support groups. These sessions are structured as educational forums rather than therapy, focusing on coping strategies, transitions, and burnout prevention. They are no cost, donation-based services to maximize accessibility. Second, we host an annual event called A Day in the Park. This is a sensory-friendly community gathering that promotes inclusion, reduces isolation, and celebrates autistic voices. It is free to the public and funded through agency-led fundraisers. Third, we partner annually with local high schools to provide ASD-focused training for teachers and administrators. This improves accommodations, promotes equitable education, and enhances consistency across home, school, and clinical settings. Together, these outreach efforts strengthen community collaboration and reduce systemic barriers.
Overview of community crisis response. This section describes how DFSS will maintain a coordinated, trauma-informed community crisis response system to protect clients, staff, and the broader Dallas community. Our approach is grounded in evidence showing that rapid stabilization, calm connectedness, and coordinated intervention significantly reduce both immediate and long-term psychological harm following disaster. Hopfall et al., 2007. In Dallas, community crises most commonly stem from severe weather events, including tornadoes, flash floods, extreme heat, and severe storms. Research shows that Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex is among the most tornado-prone major metropolitan areas due to the intersection of rapid urban expansion and high hazard probability. Rosenkratz and Ashley 2015. Additionally, both extreme heat and non-coastal flooding contribute heavily to the disaster-related illness and mortality in Texas, disproportionately affecting vulnerable groups such as older adults, low-income families, and individuals experiencing homelessness. These persistent regional risks highlight the need for a robust, well-integrated, and responsive system that connects emergency management, public health, and mental health services. DFSS will collaborate with local fire departments, hospitals, and school systems, ensuring that behavioral health resources are embedded where crisis occurs. A key area of need is psychiatric support during emergencies where behavioral health episodes are sometimes misunderstood as threats rather than clinical situations requiring empathy and stabilization. Parker et al. 2020 emphasizes that when behavioral emergencies are mischaracterized as violence, response becomes restrictive and security focused rather than therapeutic. DFSS will model trauma-informed, person-centered crisis intervention that prioritizes safety and dignity.
Although DFSS primarily serves adolescents and young adults with ASD, we are prepared to serve clients across the lifespan in crisis situations. Therefore, staff training begins with foundational knowledge of trauma and crisis response. Clinicians are trained to understand that trauma responses such as hyperarousal, dissociation, or emotional dysregulation are adaptive survival mechanisms, not pathology. We also emphasize that the neurobiological impact of trauma to avoid misinterpreting symptoms as resistance. Developmental differences are central to our training. Children may express trauma behaviorally, adolescents may show identity confusion or withdrawal, and adults may experience intrusive thoughts or functional impairment. We also prioritize trauma-informed principles such as safety, trust, empowerment, and collaboration. Special consideration is given to autistic youth as trauma may present differently, including increased sensory sensitivities or self-injurious behaviors. Our clinicians are trained to differentiate between autism-related behaviors and trauma-related responses to provide accurate, compassionate care.
Crisis response services for all ages. Immediately following crisis events, our counselors at DFSS calm intense reactions such as fear, panic, shock, or confusion. They use grounding techniques and clear, reassuring communication. They normalize stress reactions and quickly assess emotional distress level, risk of harm to self or others, and ability to cope and function. For children, our counselors use simple, concrete language, play, art, stories, and fidget/comfort objects. They observe behavior and play and involve caregivers when appropriate. For adolescents, they validate emotions, respect autonomy and privacy, address identity, peer pressure, and social media stress, and ask direct but respectful questions. For adults, they focus on coping and problem solving and address work, relationships, and caregiving roles. Lastly, for older adults, they utilize a slower pace, monitor confusion, grief, and disorientation, address loss, health changes, and isolation, and use life review, meaning focused approaches. After stabilization, our counselors ensure basic needs are met. They provide a clear explanation of what happened, what to expect next, and where to go for help. This helps to restore a sense of control in victims. Our counselors strengthen natural supports by reuniting families, encouraging trusted contacts, and supporting caregivers. Our care at DFSS is developmentally and culturally responsive. We utilize ASD informed and lifespan trained interventions. We recognize age specific warning signs, adjust communication style and pacing, and include family support systems when appropriate. We respect generational differences in mental health stigma, help seeking, and privacy and authority. For ongoing support, we connect clients to age appropriate follow up services such as school and youth programs, adult therapy, and senior services. We provide clear, manageable next steps and understand that crisis counseling extends beyond stabilization.
Community crisis response strategies are necessary in any business for the safety and well-being of all staff and clientele. Crisis can include weather, behavior crisis, and building emergencies. Since Texas ranks among the highest impacted states of natural disasters, it is crucial to have plans in place for each event. Behavior crisis plans, therapeutic staff would work together to assess all clients with risk of aggressive behavior in order to establish a behavior support plan, or a BSP, to navigate through behavior in a uniformed and safe fashion for everyone. All plans will be in compliance with the guidelines set by the Texas Administrative Code and the Texas Department of Health and Human Services. Inclement weather should always be monitored by administrative staff. Once the sirens are activated, management would initiate alerting staff to proceed to the designated safe rooms in the facility. Inclement weather rooms should be on the first floor, interior rooms with no windows. Staff and clients should remain in safety until cleared by management. An intruder or active shooter. In the event of an intrusive or an active shooter in or nearby the facility, a lockdown procedure should be started immediately. The first person aware should instantly call 911 and initiate the lockdown procedure. All staff and clientele should be in a locked room with no windows and all lights turned off. If windows are present, shades should be pulled, and everyone should remain quietly in safety until cleared by law enforcement. Fire safety procedures must be compliant with the Texas Fire Code. The facility must have a fire safety plan, a fire alarm system, and a sprinkler system. DFSS staff will comprise a fire exit strategy and post the exit routes around the building accordingly so that staff and clientele can easily reference the plans if need be. If alarms are activated, staff should assist their clients out of the building and report to management once everyone is out of the building and to safety.
Professional integration, local key stakeholders, Dallas Independent Schools, Administrative, DISD, teachers, PTOs, PTAs, special education directors, healthcare integration and government agencies, community nonprofits, criminal justice departments, residential programs, and licensed clinicians. Our national National professional integration is with the U.S. Department of Health, Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration, Centers for Disease Prevention, U.S. Department of Education, U.S. Department of Justice, National Association of Social Workers, American Public Health Association, American Correctional Association, and national academies.
DFSS strives to provide our families with a full array of support and services to fulfill their needs. To ensure our clients' needs are met from all levels across the lifespan, we will collaborate with several agencies and organizations in our community. Autism Society of Texas, or AST, would support our mission by further empowering families with community resources to live their lives fully. Some of the benefits of developing a partnership with AST would be access to support groups all across Texas, sensory-friendly healthcare options, inclusion events, employment opportunities for youth with ASD, water safety courses, and recreation opportunities. Autism Speaks is a nationally recognized autism advocacy organization. The programs they offer vary from AST in the sense that they work at a federal and state level to maintain funding from grants, community resources, autism research, awareness efforts, educational program funding, and insurance laws. Having connections to grant programs could increase accessibility to services for our clients and ease the financial burden. Lastly, we would partner with the Dallas Independent School District, or DISD. Partnering with the independent school districts provides a huge connection between the family, the client, school, and therapists. The school district implements individual education programs, or IEPs, for the students in order to set goals, track progress, and understand a student's baseline. Having a team where everyone is on the same page with a common understanding helps to set a common goal in the best interest of the child, which is most likely to promote success for the client.
Professional identity as an advocate. Advocacy is not an optional role within our agency. It is central to our professional identity. As agency leaders, we recognize advocacy as an ethical obligation rooted in justice and beneficence. Systemic barriers such as insurance limitations, workforce shortages, and stigma significantly affect adolescents with ASD and their families. At the systems level, we advocate for improved Medicaid reimbursement, expanded mental health coverage, and equitable school-based resources.
In practice, this includes coalition building with schools and healthcare providers, engaging in public anti-stigma education, mentoring counselors, and supporting workforce development. Our advocacy efforts occur in schools, community forums, professional organizations, and legislative settings. By maintaining a visible presence, DFSS functions not only as a service provider, but also as a leader in community partnership. Ultimately, advocacy strengthens both client outcomes and the counseling profession by ensuring ethical practice extends beyond individual sessions into systemic change. Thank you for listening to our presentation, and here are our many references.